Palo Alto is a charter city located in the northwest corner of Santa Clara County, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area of the United States. The city shares its borders with East Palo Alto, Mountain View, Los Altos, Altos Hills, Stanford, Portola Valley, and Menlo Park. It is named after a coast redwood tree called El Palo Alto. Palo Alto was established by Leland Stanford Sr. when he founded Stanford University, following the death of his son, Leland Stanford Jr. The city includes portions of Stanford and is headquarters to a number of high-technology companies, including Hewlett-Packard, Space Systems, Laurel, VMware, Tesla Motors, Ford Research and Innovation Center, Park, Ning, IDEO, Skype, and Palantir Technologies. It has also served as an incubator to several other high-technology companies such as Google, Facebook, Logitech, Intuit, Pinterest, and PayPal. As of the 2010 census, the city's total resident population is 64,403. Palo Alto is one of the most expensive cities in the United States, and its residents are among the most educated in the country. History. The earliest recorded history of Palo Alto dates back to 1769, when Gaspar de Portola noted an Ohlone settlement. This remains an area of known Indian mounds. A plaqued Middlefield Road and Embarcadero Road commemorates the area. The city got its name from the tall landmark redwood tree, El Palo Alto, which still grows on the east bank of San Francisco Creek across from Menlo Park. One trunk of the twin-trunk tree can still be found by the railroad trestle near Alma Street in El Palo Alto Park. The other trunk was destroyed during a storm in the late 20th century. A plaque that recounts the story of the Portola expedition, a 63-man, 200-horse expedition from San Diego to Monterey from November 7 to 11, 1769. The group overshot Monterey in the fog, and when they reached modern-day Pacifica, they ascended Sweeney Ridge and saw the San Francisco Bay. Portola descended from Sweeney Ridge southeast down San Andreas Creek to Laguna Creek and the Philalia State, and thence to the San Francisco Creek watershed, ultimately camping at El Palo Alto from November 6 to 11, 1769. Thinking the bay was too wide to cross, the group retraced their journey to Monterey, never becoming aware of the Golden Gate entrance to the bay. About 1827, Rafael Soto, the 10th child and a son of De Anza expedition settler Ignacio Soto and Maria Barbara Espinosa de Lugo of Alta, California, came to stay with Maximo Martinez at his Rancho Corte Madera for 7 years. Located south of the San Francisco Creek, west of today's I-280, Rancho Corte Madera covered most of Portola Valley to Skyline Boulevard, extending south to about Foothill College. In 1835, Rafael Soto and family settled near the San Francisco Creek near Newell and Middlefield, selling goods to travelers. Rafael Soto died in 1839, but his wife, Maria Antonia Mesa, was granted Rancho Rinconada del Arroyo de San Francisco in 1841. In 1839, their daughter Maria Luisa Soto married John Coppinger, who was the grantee of Rancho Canada de Raimundo. Rancho Canada de Raimundo was west of San Francisco Creek, and began at Alambi Creek, the north border of Rancho Corte Madera, and extended north, including present-day Woodside. Bear Gulch Creek flowed on his land in Portola Valley. The rancho also abutted Buellner's Grant near Skyline Boulevard and Matadero Creek. Upon Coppinger's death, Maria inherited it and later married a visiting boat captain, John Greer. Greer owned a home on the site that is now Town and Amp Country Village on Embarcadero and El Camino Real. Greer Avenue and Court are named for him. To the west of Rafael Soto, near El Camino and following the creek, was Rancho San Francisquito, granted in 1839 to Antonio Buelna and wife Maria Concepcion. To the south of the Sotos, the brothers Secundino and Teodoro Robles in 1849 bought Rancho Rincon de San Francisquito from José Peña, the 1841 grantee. The grant extended from San Francisquito Creek, Alpine Road and Bishop Lane behind Stanford Shopping Center and Golf Course, then south along the Santa Clara foothills between Junipero Serra and AMP HWY 280 to the intersection of Matadero Creek, Hillview, Miranda and AMP, then SW near the intersection of Page Mill and Arrastradero Road, where the Jonas House was, then east down Arrastradero Road, to the north property line of Alta Mesa Memorial Park and Terman Park. Follow the trail of what was once the old stage road over Adobe Creek to El Camino Real and AMP, then east on San Antonio Road, to the Bay Marshes passing over the RR and what was once the Jeffries House and AMP stables. The property then went along the bay to the Embarcadero, a major boundary in the day, then up to the Stanford University gates, up Galvez and along Campus Way to the hills near the golf course. The grant was bounded on the south by Mariano Castro's Rancho Pastoria de las Barregas grant across San Antonio Road. That's the Robles Rancho, about 80% of Palo Alto and Stanford University. It was whittled down by 1863 through courts to 6,981 acres. Stories say the Grand Hacienda was built on the former meager adobe of José Peña near Fernoff San Antonio Road, midway between Middlefield and Alma Street. The hacienda hosted fiestas and bullfights. It was ruined in the 1906 earthquake and its lumber was used to build a large barn nearby which it is said lingered until the early 1950s. In 1853, they sold 250 acres, comprising the present-day Barron Park, Matadero Creek and Stanford Business Park, to Elisha Oscar Crosby, who coined Mayfield as she called her new property Mayfield Farm. In 1880, Secundino Robles, father to 29 children, still lived just south of Palo Alto, near the location of the present-day San Antonio Shopping Center in Mountain View. Many of the Spanish names in the Palo Alto area represent the local heritage, descriptive terms and former residents. Peña Court, Miranda Avenue, which was essentially Foothill Expressway, was the married name of Juana Bryanes, and the name occurs in courts and avenues and other street names in Palo Alto and Mountain View in the quadrant where she owned vast areas between Stanford University, Grant Road in Mountain View and west of El Camino. Yerba Buena was to her credit. Rinconado was the major Mexican land grant name. The township of Mayfield was formed in 1855 in what is now southern Palo Alto. In 1875, French financier Jean-Baptiste Paulin Caperon, better known as Peter Coutts, purchased land in Mayfield and 4 other parcels around 3 sides of today's College Terrace, more than 1,000 acres extending from today's Page Mill Road to Sarah Street and from El Camino Real to the foothills. Coutts named his property Escher Farm. His fanciful brick 50-foot-tall brick tower near Matadero Creek likely marked the south corner of his property. Leland Stanford started buying land in the area in 1876 for a horse farm, called the Palo Alto Stock Farm. Stanford bought Escher Farm in 1882. Jane and Leland Stanford Sr. founded Stanford University in 1891, dedicated to his son who died of typhoid fever at age 15 in 1884. In 1886, Stanford came to Mayfield, interested in founding his university there. He had a train stop created near his school on Mayfield's downtown street, Lincoln Street. However, he had one condition: alcohol had to be banned from the town. Known for its 13 rowdy saloons, Mayfield rejected his requests for reform. This led him to drive the formation of Palo Alto as a temperance town in 1894 with the help of his friend Timothy Hopkins of the Southern Pacific Railroad, who bought 740 acres of private land in 1887 for the new town site. The Hopkins Tract, bounded by El Camino Real, San Francisco Creek, Boyce, Channing, Melville, and Hopkins Avenues, and Embarcadero Road, was proclaimed a local heritage district during Palo Alto's centennial in 1994. Stanford set up his university, Stanford University, and a train stop by his new town. With Stanford's support, saloon days faded and Palo Alto grew to the size of Mayfield. On July 2, 1925, Palo Alto voters approved the annexation of Mayfield and the two communities were officially consolidated on July 6, 1925. This saga explains why Palo Alto has two downtown areas, one along University Avenue and one along California Avenue. The Mayfield News wrote its own obituary 4 days later. It is with a feeling of deep regret that we see on our streets today those who would sell or give our beautiful little city to an outside community. We have watched Mayfield grow from a small hamlet when Palo Alto was nothing more than a hayfield to her present size, and it is with a feeling of sorrow that we contemplate the fact that there are those who would sell or give the city away. Many of Stanford University's first faculty members settled in the Professorville neighborhood of Palo Alto. Professorville, now a registered National Historic District, is bounded by Kingsley, Lincoln, and Addison Avenues and the cross streets of Ramona, Bryant, and Waverly. The district includes a large number of well-preserved residences dating from the 1890s, including 833 Kingsley, 345 Lincoln, and 450 Kingsley. 1044 Bryant was the home of Russell Varian, co-inventor of the klystron tube. The Federal Telegraph Laboratory site, situated at 218 Channing, is a California historical landmark recognizing Leader Forrest's 1911 invention of the vacuum tube and electronic oscillator at that location. While not open to the public, the garage that housed the launch of Hewlett-Packard is located at 367 Addison Avenue. Hewlett-Packard recently restored the house and garage. A second historic district on Ramona Street can be found downtown between University and Hamilton Avenues. The Palo Alto Chinese School is the oldest in the entire Bay Area. It is also home to the second oldest opera company in California, the West Bay Opera. Geography. Topography. Palo Alto is crossed by several creeks that flow north to San Francisco Bay. Adobe Creek on its eastern boundary, San Francisco Creek on its western boundary, and Matadero Creek in between the other two. Arrastrado Creek is tributary to Matadero Creek, and Barron Creek is now diverted to Adobe Creek just south of Highway 101 by a diversion channel. The San Francisco Creek main stem is formed by the confluence of Corte Madera Creek and Bear Creek not far below Searsville Dam. Further downstream, Los Trancos Creek is tributary to San Francisco Creek below Interstate 280. Environmental features. Palo Alto has a number of significant natural habitats, including estuarine, riparian, and oak forest. Many of these habitats are visible in Foothill Park, which is owned by the city. The Charleston Slough contains a rich marsh and littoral zone, providing feeding areas for a variety of shorebirds and other estuarine wildlife. Palo Alto is in the southeastern section of the San Francisco Peninsula. It is bordered to the north by East Palo Alto, to the east by Mountain View, to the southeast and south by Los Altos and Los Altos Hills, to the southwest by Portola Valley, and to the west by Stanford and Menlo Park. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 25.8 square miles. 23.9 square miles of it is land and 1.9 square miles is water. The official elevation is 56 feet above sea level, but the city boundaries reach well into the peninsula hills. There are signs denoting the city limits on Skyline Boulevard and the Stevens Canyon Trail. Climate typical of the San Francisco Bay Area, Palo Alto has a Mediterranean climate with cool, wet winters and warm, dry summers. Typically, in the warmer months, as the sun goes down, the fog bank flows over the foothills to the west and covers the night sky, thus creating a blanket that helps trap the summer warmth absorbed during the day. Even so, it is rare for the overnight low temperature to exceed 60 degrees Fahrenheit. In January, average temperatures range from 38.5 degrees Fahrenheit to 57.4 degrees Fahrenheit. In July, average temperatures range from 54.9 degrees Fahrenheit to 78.4 degrees Fahrenheit. The record high temperature was 107 degrees Fahrenheit on June 15, 1961, and the record low temperature was 15 degrees Fahrenheit on November 17, 2003. Temperatures reached 90 degrees Fahrenheit, a higher on an average of 9.9 days. Temperatures dropped to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, a low on an average of 16.1 days. Due to the Santa Clara Mountains to the west, there is a rain shadow in Palo Alto, resulting in an average annual rainfall of only 15.32 inches. Measurable rainfall occurs on an average of 57 days annually. The wettest year on record was 1983 with 32.51 inches, and the driest year was 1976 with 7.34 inches. The most rainfall in one month was 12.43 inches in February 1998, and the most rainfall in one day was 3.75 inches on February 3, 1998. Measurable snowfall is very rare in Palo Alto, but 1.5 inches fell on January 21, 1962. Local government. Palo Alto was incorporated in 1894, and in 1909 created, by municipal charter, a local government consisting of a 15-member city council, with responsibilities for various governmental functions delegated to appointed committees. In 1950, the city adopted a council-manager government. Several appointed committees continue to advise the city council on specialized issues, such as land use planning, utilities, and libraries, but these committees no longer have direct authority over city staff. Currently, the City Council has only 9 members. The mayor and vice-mayor serve a year at a time, with terms ending in January. General municipal elections are held in November of odd-numbered years. Council terms are 4 years long. A former mayor once described her position as, "I get a parking spot, that's about it." Politics. In the California state legislature, Palo Alto is in the 13th Senate District, represented by Democrat Jerry Hill, and in the 24th Assembly District, represented by Democrat Rich Gordon. In the United States House of Representatives, Palo Alto is in California's 18th Congressional District, represented by Democrat Anna Eshoo. Demographics. The 2010 United States Census reported that Palo Alto had a population of 64,403. The population density was 2,497.5 people per square mile. The racial makeup of Palo Alto was 41,359 white, 17,461 Asian, 1,197 African American, 121 Native American, 142 Pacific Islander, 1,426 from other races, and 2,697 from two or more races. Hispanic Latino of any race were 3,974 persons. The census reported that 63,820 people lived in households, 205 lived in non-institutionalized group quarters, and 378 were institutionalized. There were 26,493 households, out of which 8,624 had children under the age of 18 living in them. 13,975 were opposite-sex married couples living together. 1,843 had a female householder with no husband present. 659 had a male householder with no wife present. There were 979 unmarried opposite-sex partnerships, and 188 same-sex married couples or partnerships. 7,982 households were made up of individuals, and 3,285 had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.41. There were 16,477 families. The average family size was 3.04. The population was spread out with 15,079 people under the age of 18, 3,141 people aged 18 to 24, 17,159 people aged 25 to 44, 18,018 people aged 45 to 64, and 11,006 people who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 41.9 years. For every 100 females there were 95.7 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 93.0 males. There were 28,216 housing units at an average density of 1,094.2 per square mile, of which 14,766 were owner-occupied, and 11,727 were occupied by renters. The homeowner vacancy rate was 1.5%. The rental vacancy rate was 5.6%. 39,176 people lived in owner-occupied housing units, and 24,644 people lived in rental housing units. As of the census of 2000, there were 58,598 people, 25,216 households, and 14,600 families residing in the city. The population density was 955.8 per square kilometers. There were 26,048 housing units at an average density of 424.9 per square kilometers. The racial makeup of the city was 75.76% white, 2.02% black, 0.21% Native American, 17.22% Asian, 0.14% Pacific Islander, 1.41% from other races, and 3.24% from two or more races. Hispanic Latino of any race were 4.65% of the population. There were 25,216 households, of which 27.2% had resident children under the age of 18, 48.5% were married couples living together, 7.0% had a female householder with no husband present, and 42.1% were non-families. 32.6% of all households were made up of individuals, and 10.8% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.30 and the average family size was 2.95. In the city, the population was spread out, with 21.2% under the age of 18, 4.9% from 18 to 24, 32.4% from 25 to 44, 25.9% from 45 to 64, and 15.6% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 40 years. For every 100 females there were 95.8 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 93.6 males. According to a 2007 estimate, the median income for a household in the city was $119,046, and the median income for a family was $153,197. Males had a median income of $91,051 versus $60,202 for females. The per capita income for the city was $56,257. About 3.2% of families and 4.8% of the population were below the poverty line, including 4.0% of those under age 18 and 5.0% of those age 65 or over. Housing. Palo Alto, north of Oregon Expressway, is filled with older homes, including craftsman and California colonials, some of which date back to the 1890s but most of which were built in the first 4 decades of the 20th century. South of Oregon Expressway, the homes, including many Joseph Eichler-designed or Eichler-style houses, were primarily built in the first 20 years after World War II. While the city contains homes that now cost anywhere from $800,000 to well in excess of $40 million, much of Palo Alto's housing stock is in the style of California mid-century middle-class suburbia. It has highly rated public schools, a high quality of life, numerous parks and open space reserves, and a vibrant downtown area. The median home sale price for all of Palo Alto was more than $1.3 million in 2006 and $1,363,000 in July 2009. Palo Alto ranks in as the 5th most expensive city in the United States, with an average home sales price of $1,677,000 as of 2007. In 2010, Palo Alto ranked as the 2nd most expensive city in the United States, with a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home listing for $1.48 million on average. A primary driver of housing market values in Palo Alto is the political climate that is restricting new development in a city with a large jobs-to-housing imbalance and some of the most attractive jobs in the country. In addition, Palo Alto schools test at some of the highest levels in the Bay Area. Palo Alto is by some measures the most expensive college town in the United States. A majority of Stanford students live on campus. Economy. Palo Alto serves as a central economic focal point of the Silicon Valley. and is home to more than 7,000 businesses employing more than 98,000 people. Many prominent technology firms reside in the Stanford Research Park on Page Mill Road, while nearby Sand Hill Road in the adjacent city of Menlo Park is a notable hub of venture capitalists. The city's economy generally follows the economic trends of the rest of the Silicon Valley. Well-known companies and research facilities headquartered in Palo Alto include. Other notable companies with significant presences in Palo Alto include. Many nearby Silicon Valley companies, no longer primarily in Palo Alto, were once headquartered and experience major growth in Palo Alto, including Google, Facebook, and PayPal. Palo Alto's retail and restaurant trade includes Stanford Shopping Center, an upscale open-air shopping center established in 1955, and downtown Palo Alto, centered on University Avenue. Palo Alto is the location of the first street-level Apple store, the first Apple Mini store, the first West Coast Whole Foods Market store, and the first Victoria's Secret. Top employers. According to the city's 2015 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the top employers in the city are utilities. Unlike surrounding communities, the city of Palo Alto provides electric and gas service within city limits, with the minor exception of a rural portion of the city in the hills west of Interstate 280, past the country club, which does not receive gas from the city. Water and Gas Services operates gas and water distribution networks within the city limits. PG&E does not serve customers within CPA limits. The city operates both gas meters and the distribution pipelines. Water comes from city-operated watershed and wells and the City and County of San Francisco HHE system. The city is located in Santa Clara Valley Water District, North Zone. HHE Pipeline Number 3 and Number 4 pass through the city. The city operates its own electric power distribution network and telemetry cable network. Interconnection points tie the city into PG&E's electric transmission system, which brings power from several sources to the city. A claim to fame is the city's exemption from rolling blackouts during the summer 2000 power shortages. Palo Alto is a member of a Joint Powers Authority, which cooperatively generates electricity for government power providers such as the City of Santa Clara, the City of Redding, and the Port of Oakland. Roughly the same group of entities operate the Transmission Agency of Northern California. TANC transports power over its own lines from as far as British Columbia through an interconnection with the Federal Bonneville Power Administration. A local oddity is a series of joint poles. Those primary conductor cross-arms are marked PGE and CPA to identify each utility's side of the shared cross-arms. Palo Alto has an ongoing community debate about the city providing fiber optic connectivity to all residences. A series of pilot programs have been proposed. One proposal called for the city to install dark fiber, which would be made live by a contractor. Services traditionally attributed to a cable television provider were sold to a regulated commercial concern. Previously, the cable system was operated by a cooperative called Palo Alto Cable Coop. The former regional Bell operating company in Palo Alto was Pacific Telephone, now called at an AMP-T, and previously called SBC in Pacific Bell. One of the earliest central office facilities switching Palo Alto calls is the historic Davenport Central Office at 529 Bryant Street. The building was sold and is now the home of the Palo Alto Internet Exchange. The former CO building building is marked by a bronze plaque and is located on the north side of Bryant Street between University Avenue and Hamilton Avenue. It was called Davenport after the exchanged name at the introduction of dial telephone service in Palo Alto. For example, modern numbers starting with 325 were Davenport 5 in the 1950s and 60s. The step-by-step office was scrapped and replaced by stored program-controlled equipment at a different location about 1980. Stanford calls ran on a step-by-step Western Electric 701 PBX until the university purchased its own switch about 1980. It had the older, traditional Bell system 600 Hz plus 120 Hz dial tone. The old 497 number PBX, MDF, and battery string were housed in a steel building at 333 Bonner Siding. From 1950s to 1980s, the bulk of Palo Alto calls were switched on number 5 crossbar systems. By the mid-1980s, these electromechanical systems had been junked. Under the Bell system's regulated monopoly, local coin telephone calls were 10 cents until the early 1980s. During the drought of the early 1990s, Palo Alto employed water waste patrol officers to enforce water-saving regulations. The team, called Gushbusters, patrolled city streets looking for broken water pipes and poorly managed irrigation systems. Regulations were set to stop restaurants from habitually serving water runoff from irrigation and irrigation during the day. The main goal of the team was to educate the public in ways to save water. Citations consisted of friendly reminder postcards and more formal notices. To help promote the conservation message, the team only used bicycles and mopeds.